While headless guitars are far from new, I've been seeing them pop up a lot more in the last few years. Manufacturers like Steinberger, Strandberg, and Kiesel have really made a name for themselves with their headless models. But more traditional brands are starting to get into the game, like Ibanez with the Q52 PB. This being my first headless guitar I've ever put my hands on, I've got quite a bit to say about it. Let's go. Headless guitars can be a very polarizing topic. I do have to admit, after playing guitars with a headstock for nearly 30 years, these headless guitars do look odd. But after finding out Ibanez released their first set of headless models with the Q series, I had to try one out. Big shout out to Zounds for lending me this guitar to review. Make sure to check them out. Links in the description. Ibanez has a few different models in their headless lineup, but we're here to check out the Q52. Actually, this is the Q52 PB. The Q52 comes in laser blue matte finish, whereas this guitar has a poplar burl top with a raw black finish back and sides. Other than that, everything else about these guitars are identical. This Q52 PB retails for $1,100 US and the Q52 for $1,000 US. What I do find interesting about this guitar is it looks strikingly similar to a Kiesel Vader, which seems to be one of the more popular headless guitars out there. I spec'd out a guitar similar to this, and it came in at a whopping $2,800 US, which is about 2.5 times the cost. If you go without the poplar burl top and paint it, it'd be closer to $2,200. Either way, you might be getting a little bit of a deal with this guy. If you're unfamiliar with headless guitars or don't know much about them, let's go over some of the differences and benefits. Obviously, there is no headstock. Instead, just past the nut is a string locking bar, where each string is individually locked down. The shorter and equal distance from the nut to where the strings are anchored compared to a traditional headstock can lead to better tuning stability. Since there are no tuners at the headstock, they are integrated into the bridge. While it doesn't take much force to turn the tuners, I do feel like they're not quite as precise as a good machine tuner. But it's not hard to lock in the pitch, and once it's locked in, it stays there. Another added bonus not having a headstock is not only the decreased weight, albeit not that much, you don't have this added weight acting as a cantilever, leading to a more balanced guitar. Not only does this guitar come in at an extremely light 4.9 pounds, but the balance on this thing is amazing. You can see as it sits in my lap, it doesn't want to neck dive. To be a little more scientific, we can weigh it at 2 of the strap buttons. This guy does have a third button down here. When we weigh the strap buttons, we have a 58-42 weight distribution, meaning 58% of the weight is on the front strap button and the other 42 is on the back. Let's compare it to a normal guitar, like this Warmoth Soloist, which weighs 7.4 pounds. You can see as I sit with this guitar in my lap, it does want to neck dive ever so slightly. It's not unmanageable, but I can't let go of it without somehow supporting the neck from diving. It has a 66-34 weight distribution at the strap buttons. Almost 2/3 of the weight is on the front strap button. By no means is this guitar uncomfortable to play with the strap, but the Q52 is just way better balanced, and having less weight on the shoulder means less fatigue when you're playing a show. Having a more balanced guitar can elevate your playing experience as well, since you only have to apply a minimal force, if any, to keep the neck up. It's not something that may be immediately noticeable, but it does offer that small benefit. Now let's go back to the Q52 and dig a little deeper into the specs. It has a Nyato body and poplar burl top. The top has an antique brown stain and the back is painted black. It has a very light, almost natural finish. The body shape is very similar to their S-series guitars, except the bottom of the body is a little shorter and there is an obvious cutout for the access to the tuners. It has a very generous belly contour and slight forearm contour. I found playing the guitar to be very comfortable sitting down and standing up. One thing to note, while holding the guitar in this normal position is fine, when holding it in a classical position, the tuners will rest on your leg. This probably isn't too problematic, but I don't know that it would be very comfortable and may force the guitar out of tune. While the guitar does have a low horn cutout that almost goes to the 24th fret, a unique heel shape and beveled edges in that area, the high fret access isn't that great. Trying to access the last 2 frets is very uncomfortable. Using my index and middle fingers is fine, but getting my ring finger in there feels clumsy, which means shredding up there isn't going to happen. And good luck getting your pinky up there. I think if the low horn cutout went a little further in, I'd be much happier with it. But then again, maybe this guitar isn't meant for shredding. Looking at the neck, it has a 3-piece roasted maple and babinga shaft with roasted bird's eye maple fretboard. I do really like how this fretboard looks. It's fitted with jumbo Jescar Evo gold frets. These are new to me, but they only appear to be gold and are made of copper, tin, iron, and titanium. Their hardness is somewhere between traditional nickel, silver, and stainless steel, so they shouldn't wear out and get damaged very easily. I do remember a little bit of what I thought to be tarnish on a few of the frets when I got the guitar, but that quickly came off after just a bit of playing. The neck also has partially offset mother of pearl dot inlays and luminescent side dot inlays. While the side dot inlays should glow in the dark, that glow is pretty insignificant from what I can tell. The truss rod adjustment wheel is located at the body side of the neck. The neck has a Wizard C profile. It's a little bigger than the Wizard 3 profile you'd find on an RG series guitar, which is what I'm used to. The fretboard has a constant 12-inch radius, which isn't quite as flat as the 17-inch radius you'll find on a Wizard 3. Overall, the shape of the neck and fretboard doesn't bother me. While I prefer a thinner neck and flatter fretboard, I'm finding out it doesn't matter all that much to me, but it might to some of you. The back of the neck is sanded down nice and smooth with no finish, which I prefer over a painted neck. The fret ends are also dressed really well, so it doesn't feel like they're going to cut your fingers. Overall, it's a really comfortable neck to play. With most headless guitars, putting them in a traditional guitar hanger is not an option, but this one flares out just a little at the end of the neck, similar to the start of a headstock. What I didn't notice for a while is the flares are asymmetrical. This certainly wasn't necessary, but I assume they were trying to match the asymmetrical start of their traditional headstocks. While these flares do help with hanging the guitar, they don't work with every hanger, like my locking wall hangers or Hercules locking stand. It does fit on some of my other wall hangers, as well as my onstage stand and PRS hanging stand. I have a hard time trusting the hangers it does fit on, because if you tilt the guitar enough, it will slide right out. Great idea, Ibanez, but I think we're better just putting this on a floor stand. The bridge is an Ibanez monotune. As I mentioned before, the tuners are located at the end of the bridge. The intonation screws are above the tuners and are easy to access, and there is an individual height adjustment for each string. Changing the strings on this guitar is super simple. Just unscrew the tuner all the way out, unscrew the string lock with an Allen wrench, which comes with the guitar. You can then pull the ball end out to put the new string in, do that in reverse. What's also nice about this setup is you can remove and install the same strings easily if you ever need to do that. The overall setup from the factory is pretty good. The neck relief and string height are right where I want them. The intonation, on the other hand, is close but not right on. 5 minutes with a screwdriver and a tuner, it'd be good to go. Now let's move on to what most of you are probably waiting for, the pickups, controls, and how it sounds. First of all, it's equipped with a set of Ibanez Q58 passive ceramic pickups. It has a standard volume and tone controls. The pickups are switched with not only the 5-way selector, but also the 2-way alter switch, located between the tone and volume controls. Using the 5-way selector and alter switch, you can get 10 different pickup configurations. With the alter switch off, you can get a single pickup only, both pickups together using both coils in each pickup, or a combination of coil splitting with the inside or outside coils. With the alter switch on, you can get a single pickup coil split, a single pickup power tapped, or both pickups power tapped. Power tapping is something I haven't heard of before, but according to Ibanez, you get the highs of a single coil with the lows of a humbucker. Let's see how all these configurations sound. I think the guitar sounds good clean, pretty mushy when playing distorted rhythm, and okay with distorted leads. If I were to keep this guitar, I would definitely swap out the pickups, but I'd expect that at this price point. I do think it's admirable of them to give you so many pickup configuration options. I'm not sure they're all necessary, but they're there. I've been honestly contemplating buying this guitar from Zounds for the last few weeks, but it's going to be a hard decision to send it back. Like many guitarists that have been playing as long as I have, I probably have too many guitars, and unfortunately, this just wouldn't fill any specific need for me right now. It has convinced me to put an order in for a custom headless guitar. Subscribe so you don't miss that video. If you are looking for a solid mid-level headless guitar, I think the Q52 is a great buy. But hey, until next time, rock on!